So, welcome to our generally Sunday evening Facebook live chat. If you're watching this not live, whether it's here, YouTube, at the website, you still get a chance to ask questions and make comments. You can do it either on this video or you can contact me through the website. There's the email address, dave@daveforchange.org. There's a Google Voice phone number, a voicemail you can leave a message at, and all the usual social media. So if you can stick around, or if you're not watching this live, I guess you could fast forward it. Every campaign has drama. I mean, if you're actually trying to campaign. And I'll tell you about a couple things that have been going on. I'm talking about these with a smile on my face. It's really not a big deal. No one's died or anything like that. But it's campaign drama. That's kind of the way it goes. We also may have a visit from a special guest tonight. It's Geddy Lee. Usually most people know him as the bass player from Rush, but this Geddy Lee is actually my cat, who is sitting here next to the camera and may make an appearance at any moment. So just letting you know, he likes to wander around the studio, especially when I'm up in here, so he may make a surprise visit. So what happened is Tuesday, there was a candidate forum, to the best of my knowledge, the first one of the year, and it was put on by Many Neighbors Building Neighborhoods, and kudos to them because they did a good job. It was in Charlotte, which, you know, is north of the city, in the northern part of the city as you could get, but it had a good turnout. It was at the Roebuck Center, and they invited all candidates for city council, not just the ones that are participating in the primary. And even when that got a little awkward, because the East District, there's 5 Democrats running and me, I guess there were 6 of us, and that cut down on the time we had for our answers. So I decided that tonight I would use our time together to actually answer the questions they asked without a time limit. So there won't be too much more, but I'll be able to talk a little slower and not try to fit everything in. And so if you get a chance to watch that video, the whole thing is 2 hours long because that includes candidates from all 4 districts, including the other Greens running and the one Republican who's running in the South District. So if you get a chance, it's long, but if you get a chance, you can watch it in chunks. It's pretty cool. So it started off, and then when we get to the end of this, I'll also some more drama, but about some more candidate forums that are coming up that you can check out as well. So the first thing was every candidate got to do 2 minutes, an introduction. And within that, they asked them to talk about like one topic that's really important to you. So I'll just do that almost as if I was there live. So, hi, my name's Dave Sutliff-Atias, and I'm obviously running for City Council in the East District. I was born and raised in Rochester, went to city schools, and graduated from Benjamin Franklin High School in 1984. And I have my undergraduate and graduate degrees from SUNY Brockport. I'm currently teaching at the Ontario County Jail in Canandaigua. I'm teaching high school equivalency. And because with that, connected to that, I would like to talk about education. Now that sounds a little strange because I'm running for city council, not school board, but our mayor has really put this on the front burner of how people at City Hall, just what is their role in terms of our schools and education. So I'm going to address that. Now, I put this on my website, and you can check it out. And actually, I've done a video on this, a YouTube video, which you can check out as well. So I'll do the quick Reader's Digest version of it. But the mayor and city council, they do affect what happens in schools, and they do affect the success of our schools. But not what happens on a day-to-day basis, not the 3 R's, the ABCs, or whatever. They affect what shape, what condition our kids come to school in. If our kids are living in poverty, which they are, and we'll give you some stats in a little bit, and if they have to go to school and worry about their safety, which they do, and if some of them come to school homeless, or when they leave school, they don't know if they have a home, and that happens. And some of them, their parents, they have to work 3 cruddy jobs just to almost make ends meet. And a lot of them get caught. A lot of kids who go to school in the Rochester City School District already assume they're either going to end up in jail or in the system or dead way before they're supposed to. Now, that's all the baggage our students come to school with. All of that should be dealt with by the mayor and city council. The mayor is talking about the state coming in. Now, we know how kids learn. They need to move around. They need recess. They need to be interested in what they're trying to do. Do you think the state's really going to make any changes for that? No. They're going to get rid of anything that actually interests kids. They're going to just worry about test prep because they need the data. They need the scores. Our kids are data generators. So bringing the state in is not going to work. And then when that doesn't work, will we be privatizing our schools? Maybe. So if the mayor and city council really want to help our kids, really want to help our schools, there are plenty of things that not only could they do, they should be doing. It's part of their job. We have had generations of people in our city in abject poverty. We're not really doing anything about it. We're just building stuff downtown. By the way, that Photronics lab, is that helping any of us? Anybody watching this video, you benefiting from that? Are you making money off of that? I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. We put a lot of money into it. It was a big deal, right? But we're not really focusing on the things that we should be. So, if the mayor and city council want to help our kids, that's what they should be doing. That's what I will work for. All of those things, and some of them I'm going to talk about in the other questions when you elect me in November. Okay, you ready? First question they gave us. If you had a blank check, what would you do to make Rochester better? How much money would you spend, and where would you spend the people's money? Well, I thanked the moderator for a blank check, but I told him I didn't need one because we already have the money. Now, I didn't say this at the forum, and this has come up. Actually, someone sent me an email today about this. So let me give you a good example. We have the money to pay for whatever we need. Don't need a blank check. Don't need some fictitious thing. And I've talked about that both here and it's at the website and all that jazz. So it has to do with corporate welfare. We continue to give developers literally millions of dollars every year. And most of the time, they don't need that money. They can do whatever project that we really don't need. They can do whatever project without this extra money that the city gives them, whether it's a grant, low interest loan where the principal never gets paid back, just straight out money, or tax breaks, or building infrastructure of the city that they need for their project, whatever it is. They would still, and they've said this in meetings, they would still do the project even if they didn't get these perks. So all we're doing is just adding to the profit they're already going to be making. So if we stopped doing that and take this literally millions of dollars, some years over $10 million, and we take that and spend on the things that we actually need. For example, the mayor is talking about shutting down fire stations because we don't have the money to pay overtime. Well, we do have the money. We refuse to use it to do that. Our library should be open every day. Yeah, we were not spending the money on that. Rec centers should be open every day. Nope, not spending the money. The money's going to the developers. So I don't need a blank check. We have at least $10 million a year that we could be spending on all the things I'd want to do. And actually, I talked about the things. But one of the things I would spend most of that money on, or at least half of it, and again, outlined at the website, dayforchange.org, and at the forum, I made sure I kept saying dayforchange.org. Everybody walked out of that room remembering that website if they remembered anything. So what I would do is I would use this money as startup money to create cooperatively owned and run businesses in the neighborhoods that are the most impoverished. And these businesses would be the type of businesses that would help the overall situation in those neighborhoods. So food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, daycare, things like that. Really, look, hair boutiques are awesome, barbershops are great, but not now, okay? You want to do that on your own, just like the developers, awesome. It's kind of all hands on deck with this poverty thing, and we need to deal with it. So we take this, let's say we have $10 million a year that we're giving to developers. We take half of that, and we get groups of people together who are willing to learn how to work as a cooperative, and they start businesses. You start with urban agriculture, so when they grow things, and then you create businesses that hook on to that, restaurants, grocery stores, bakeries, things like that. From there, possibly daycare centers, because food could be, daycare centers where food will be brought in that's grown there to feed kids, and also can go into our schools. Just that kind of thing. So I would use the half of that money as startup money for these type of businesses. It would have an amazing effect, not just on the people who run and own these businesses, but the communities, it would have a ripple effect. It would reduce crime. It would help schools. It would fight climate change. It would just do so many things, not just for those specific individuals who are worker owners in those businesses. That's what I would use this money for. I don't need a blank check. I don't need some fantasy thing. We have the money, and we'd still have money to pay for our fire department. Okay. Question number 2. How was that? Was that all right? Question number 2. Given the current realities of the city budget and local politics, what do you feel can be accomplished in the next 2 years? So I believe the gist of this question is that people don't get along very well in the government, and how are you going to get anything done? Well, I'm not. Now, hold on. Let me explain that for a second. So when you elect me in November, I will be the first non-Democrat to be elected in the city in about 40 years, if not more. And so if you don't know, I'm a Green. I'm running as a Green. And so I really, while people will be nice to me in general, I don't expect everyone to go, let's go, Dave, we're going to follow you. All these ideas you had are awesome, and let's just do them all. Yeah, that's really not going to happen. And we know that's not going to happen. So my way, I'm going to have a multi-pronged attack on trying to get things done. The first 2 years are my full 4 years, and we'll see if I run again after that. But I would expect after the things I'm going to try and do, the Democrats might come at me a little bit harder after 4 years. But let's win this election first. Anyway, so just like I do now as an activist, I'll give you an example of the Police Accountability Board Alliance. I'm a member of that. Now, I'm not saying I'm the leader of this and this has all been my idea. That's not what I'm implying at all. But as someone who has worked with people on this, I would still be doing that as a city council member. So getting money, stopping corporate welfare and trying to get this money to create cooperative businesses, I would not be able to do this on my own. I could draft legislation for sure, but I would need people who are interested in this behind me to go and speak at city council and speak to other council members, and they would need to lobby, and I would lobby as well. I would lobby my fellow council members and the mayor to get everybody on board, and it would take everything I want to do. It's not going to be smooth sailing. I know that. It's going to take time, and it's going to take help from you, because we're going to need to do this together. Just like I've been doing with a bunch of issues, working on, with other people, and I'll still need to do that as a city council member. I'm going to be one of 9. I'll be the only person, unless you in the South elect Alex and in the Northeast elect Chris. I'll be the only Green, and I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need people in the community to show the other council members and the mayor that there's people behind the stuff that I'm trying to do. So that's how I would get stuff done. Specifically what? I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at the website, and more is going to be added, it's still coming. I got stuff. It just won't stop. So there's an old school rap song. And that I'm going to need your help to do this. And that's just the only way. So what people want to work on, take a look at what I'm trying to do, pick something. We'll do it together. And if it's more than one thing, awesome. If I got different groups of people working on different things, stupendous. If I got people who want to work on something that I'm down with that I don't even have on my website, great. That's what I'll put my focus on. But let's be honest. One person isn't going to get anything through. Even if I was a Democrat, it wouldn't happen that way either. So that's how I can't tell you specifically what I would get done, but I can tell you how I'm going to get stuff done, and what exactly it's going to be is going to depend on what you guys want to work with me. Okay. Here comes the fun one. Okay, we're going to get into a little drama on this one. So I'm not going to name names on this, and I know you're going, oh, really, Dave? Well, not now. After the primary, depending on who wins the Democratic primary and is going to lose to me, I may name names, but you can always go back and look at the original video of this forum, and I'll put a link to it below so you can check it out for yourself. So here's question number 3. Regarding developers and development projects, how will you include and value input from neighborhood associations and residents in development discussions, making community benefit arguments for all development projects in their neighborhoods? Full disclosure, which developers do you have any affiliation with, and what campaign contributions have and will you receive from developers? Okay, the second part about the contributions is where the drama starts. But let me answer the first part. So I have a lot of things on my website about housing, and development. There's one section called land use and development, and I'm going to talk about one of those aspects right now as the main piece to answer this question. But there's a lot of other stuff as well. And in the fourth question, I'm going to talk more specifically about housing. But one of the things that I would like to see passed, and I'd like your help in getting this passed, is that any building that's happening through a corporate entity from a developer, by someone who's not going to move in and live there, must have a community benefit agreement attached to it. Now, these are becoming more popular all over the country, and I'll do a quick explanation, but there's links to some websites that really get in depth on what a CBA is at dateforchange.org. Look at land use and development. And a community benefit agreement is basically a contract between a developer and, quote, the community surrounding where this development is going to happen. Now, we'll need to lay out some parameters on when we say what the community is. Is it a geographical area, like a whatever mile radius or foot radius or whatever? I don't know. That's what we'll have to work out together on what we think. But I would like to see anything, even if it's a one-family building, house, I would like to see a community benefit agreement. I would like to see, and then that could be a neighborhood association that they do that agreement with, but not every neighborhood association is created the same. Some are barely functional, some are kind of dictatorial, and then there's some that are in between, that run the gamut in between. So I'd like to have some parameters on that. I think neighborhood associations, no matter how they roll, should have say in that, but we should also have some say in how other people, who aren't involved in the neighborhood association, on what they need. So a community benefit agreement could have to do with, if it's like an apartment building, if there's a common area, maybe members of the neighborhood get to use meeting areas, to hold their meetings for stuff or for parties or whatever. I know of one project that they're working on for something like that. It could be something that has to do with climate change or remediating soil or whatever, but there needs to be some community benefit agreement for everything. Connecting that to participatory budgeting, which there is something, and I believe I did a video on this. If I didn't, I'm going to. But there is something on the website at dateforchange.org on participatory budgeting. That's another way people can get involved in how money is spent and how things are developed in their communities. And those are the ways I would see of getting people more involved, and insisting on it, that their input is not just listened to but acted on. Because we know a lot of times you go to a lot of those things where groups, even the city, wants to get your feedback, and they write it all down, and they split people up in topics at different tables, and then they do a report back, and stuff's written down. And you might even get an email with all the notes on it, but when you look at the final project, it's like you were never heard at all. So community benefit agreements are contractual. So when this agreement is signed, and the project can't go ahead without this agreement, then what the people say will have been heard and acted upon. So the full disclosure about campaign contributions from developers. So there were 6 of us at the table. I'm just going to talk about the folks in the East District who are running in the East District. Six of us at the table, 5 Democrats and the Green. I'll tell you what I said. Basically, I said if you go to dateforchange.org and you hit the donate button and you contribute money, your donation will not go through until you check the little box that says that you understand that I do not take money from corporations, LLCs, or PACs, and that just because you donate to the campaign, that does not mean you're going to have extra access to me or city council. So if you checking that box, you acknowledge that even though you're making a donation, it doesn't mean you're buying time with me or any of my decisions. And so I did say, sure, I'll take $20 from a developer, because our whole fundraising, hook is, change for a 20. Hey, one of the Galenas or the Glazers or the Hannahs, they want to throw $20. No problem, I'll take it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to approve a development project because they threw $20 at me. I will not take anything that's huge, and there's no developer that's going to give me money anyway if they take a look at my my platform. So one person, Democrat, said takes money from developers, likes them. That's Mike Drizzy. Dude's honest about it. That's the way the person who's in the seat now, Lance Ball, she's in the developer family. So not surprised there, no problem. He was honest about it. One person never answered the question. he just skirted around it. He never actually answered the question, which was all right, your choice. Two, and then the rest of us said no, we haven't, and one of us lied through our teeth. And I'm not going to say which one it is. I'll say it wasn't me. So it wasn't Michael Geraci. He didn't lie. I've looked at his financials. He has taken money from developers quite a bit. But one person who said that they didn't take money, oh yeah, took money from the developer. And if you take a look at the video, you'll see two of us were very surprised when this other person said this. I'm not going to name names, but I will do this. I will name the name, and I will show the video, and I will show the financial report if this person wins the primary. Now, one of the other people, the Democrats who's running the primary, also knew this as well as soon as this other person lied. And this other person has the video and has the financial report, which is, by the way, publicly available. You go to the state Board of Elections site, and you can look at people's financial reports. You can look at mine from January. My next one's due in July, and you can totally look at mine. It's not a lot. There's a few contributions from friends and stuff, not too much. I'll be honest with you, most of it I'm funding, and not by the thousands of dollars. I might have given like a little over $1,000 altogether. Probably when this is all over, I'll probably spent about $3,000, and I'll be the biggest contributor, to be honest with you. So, and we can talk about that another time. In fact, we will talk about that another time, because sometime down the road, like in the fall, I want to talk about the Green Party and why you should vote Green, and I'll include that about contributions and stuff like that, but not for tonight. So, part of the drama, you want to go look at that video and try and figure out who was lying. We've narrowed it down. It's not me. It's not Geraci. There's going to be another one who never answers the question. That's going to leave 3 people left. Who was the liar? We'll find out eventually. All right. Question number 4. Oh, the drama's not done. I got more. You're just going to have to wait till the end. So, number 4. Currently, there is significant housing development occurring in the center city and several neighborhoods with city administration support. However, almost none is targeted for low and extremely low income individuals, families, and the elderly, or people with disabilities, which I put in. Although Rochester's poverty rate is 33.1%, child poverty is at 51.9%. What is your plan addressing housing needs of low-income individuals, and what do you define as affordable? All right, I'm going to start with the second question first. So here's the problem. And a lot of the candidates who are running in these districts actually get this. So right now, what the city tends to use to consider to be deemed affordable is something called the average median income. And in theory, that's fine. The problem is they're using the AMI, I'm going to use the acronym, sorry, the AMI for the county. And that's at about $66,000. And that's not the median income for the city of Rochester. The city of Rochester is like $32,000, and it's about half that. So when you hear that so many units in a development in these condos downtown are, quote, affordable, they're counting an apartment for $1,200 as affordable by the county's AMI. And it's not. By the way, there's some cheaper apartments than that might even be under the city's AMI in the Sibley building, whatever they're calling now, the old Sibley building. But I just found this out a week or two ago. It's actually segregated. The poor people have to go in through a different door. There are apartments that are a different part of the building than the not poor people. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. But yet they're waving this flag at how awesome they are because it's affordable. It's really gross. So that's the kind of hoops and linguistic-y stuff. They'll say one thing that there's affordable housing, but they're using the county's AMI. Or they say this project has affordable housing, but it's physically segregated from the rich people. It's like, dude, really? That's how you're going to do? So I would change legislation that would allow stuff like that to happen. We would have to use the city's AMI or some other kind of formula that really makes affordable housing affordable. That segregation thing is just absolutely horrible, and I would take a developer to court if I had to make that not happen. There's some other things I would do in terms of housing in general, mostly centered on people who who are poor. I would like to generalize. I'll make it a big umbrella. I would like to see housing, and I'd like this specifically stated. I would like to be housing to be seen as a human right in Rochester, and therefore anybody who needs safe, clean, affordable housing should be able to get it. Now, I'm going to talk from the perspective of the housee. I think I just made up a word. The renter, yeah, like the renter. But I do appreciate there are some people who don't take care of the places that they live in, and we need to make provisions for that as well. And it's going to look like I'm really picking on landlords, and it might seem that way. I have to be honest with you, though. I also have this affinity towards housing not be a way to make money. You know what I mean? Or at least a lot of money, anyway. Just because it is a human right, and for people to really make a lot of money off of it, just kind of, I don't feel right about that. I don't think it's right. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about here is going to prevent that from happening. And it might upset some folks who are voters in this district, and maybe they're landlords, but we can come up with some compromise and work something out. And I know most landlords aren't making that much money anyway, so I'm not, insinuating that every landlord is this huge capitalist pig that, is whatever. But so anyway, let me go through some of the stuff I would do. I would like to make some tweaks to the Rochester Housing Authority. Right now, almost everything they do is to get people in rental housing, but they totally have the authority. It can use HUD money to put people in houses, like to help them with mortgages. And I'd like to see a different emphasis for the Rochester Housing Authority to start doing that. I'd like to put a tax bill cap. Now, I didn't say tax rate, because there's a lot of ways. There's fees, and you can say, hey, I didn't raise your tax rate for 10 years, 12 years like the county does, but they raise the assessments, and they put in a bunch of fees. So whatever the bill is, okay, I don't care what formula, how much of it's the percent, the rate, and the assessment, and the fees, but the bill, there needs to be a freeze on that for 3 groups, and there's actually a Venn diagram that there's going to be some overlap here. The elderly, poor, and anyone in a neighborhood that's being gentrified. So if there's some development happening that raises property values, then there needs to be that tax bill freeze, at least for a while anyway, for the people who are living there, so that they don't end up having to leave their area. And that's been happening in Rochester. It's been happening in cities all over the place, but that's been happening in Rochester, and we need to put that kind of tax bill cap on that. And like I said, we have the money to do it. We can afford it. I would like to see universal rent control in Rochester. That doesn't mean you can't raise rents. That means there needs to be control about that. There's a gentleman in this district who's been living in a house for 12 years. A couple of developers bought a couple dozen properties all at once and went to this guy and said, we're doubling your rent. No one can afford. They knew this guy was going to have to leave. And some folks are talking, back channels, trying to get the developers to chill out and stop doing this, but I don't know where it's in the process. But anyway, that's a perfect example of what this is. There needs to be universal rent control. Just cause eviction laws, you can't just kick someone out because you want to. If a lease runs out, yeah, that's fine. But if there's a lease and there's a contract and you decide you want them out early because you want to raise the rent and that's going to kick them out, they're not going to be able to afford it. No can do. You can't do that. You got to go through a good process. Housing is a human right, and you can't just leave. And if you're going to get into that business of providing housing, you can't just leave someone out, kick someone out, and leave them in the cold. Okay. Inclusionary zoning, but let's talk about that another time. There's a link at the website at dayforchange.org. That'll take too much time. Let's see. I already talked about that. I would like to use eminent domain to take over slumlords property, as well as we need to start doing what we can legally, by any means necessary legally, to start getting these out-of-town landlords. We need to get their stuff away from them. This is just, no, sorry. You go somewhere else and do that, because we can't have that. And that's not helping anyone. It's not, the only thing it's doing is taking our money, taking it out of town, and we're not seeing it again. And generally, they're not taking care of their property. So we need to start figuring out ways, whether it's eminent domain, I know there was a Green mayor in Richmond, California, who started doing stuff like that, using eminent domain to stop corporations, the Chevron Corporation, from doing some stuff that was polluting Richmond. It was really, you should read about this stuff. It's really cool. In fact, Gail McLaughlin, she has her own book out that talks about her time becoming the Green Party mayor in Richmond, California. It's a really good book. It's a good read. Okay, and I already talked about AMI using the city's versions, not the counties. All right, so that was cool. That gave me a chance to really expound on all the questions I asked at the MNBN forum. I have to keep looking because MNBN is like, I keep forgetting that acronym. It's a tough one. So let me tell you about what's coming up. There's some candidate forums this week. So if you're watching this live or in the next day or two, you should totally check out. And when I get to tell you about the last one, here's where this other piece of drama is happening. So Tuesday is at the AME Baber Church. It's at 550 Meg Street. That's happening Tuesday. I want to say at 6:30, but you can just check. If you go to dayforchange.org, the local listing, the local events tab has a list of all of these things. So it'll have the time and the place. That's Tuesday. Wednesday, La Cumbre is putting on an interesting candidate forum at 750 East Avenue, and that's where they're just putting up a bunch of tables, and candidates are at tables, and you get to go like door to door and ask each candidate your own questions, and or hear their stump speech or whatever. So rather than one person talking at a time, it's like, with vendors, you get to go and shop for your favorite candidate. That would be interesting. I mean, I'm going to be there talking to people, but I'd almost want to go around and question them myself. But I'll be there behind a table to answer your questions. And then Thursday, well, there's a candidate forum happening, and it's for city council candidates in the East, but I'm not invited. Right. The League of Women Voters is putting this on with 3 neighborhood associations. Park Megs, North Winton Village, which is my own neighborhood association, and I'm drawing a blank on the third one anyway. And they're putting on this candidate forum, and it's just for Democrats. So when it says it's just the candidates for the primary, I asked, that means there's going to be a forum for the general election, right? And I was told we have no plans right now. Could be, maybe. And so I insisted that I be included in that, and so far they have not budged. I will be going to this candidate forum. Now, I'm not going to cause problems. It's not fair to the other candidates. They didn't choose this. This is the League of Women Voters. And to be honest with you, we deal with this every 2 years when there's local elections. They do this every year. They do it to the mayoral candidates. They do it to city council, school board. They do this every year. They continue to say they're nonpartisan, and it's obviously that they're not. And so I'm going to continue to first work back channels, and then I'm going to go ahead and do some more public stuff. You're more welcome to pass this around, but we are we're going to. I'm sorry, I know, Nikki. Hold on one second. There's something about bringing you on camera. Just give me a second. Let me finish this up. So I am going to be there just to pass out my lit and let folks know that I wasn't invited. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to interrupt anybody, but I am going to be there. And I would probably just go knock on doors instead, but it's probably going to rain that day anyway, so I'll have nothing to do. I may as well go to this forum. So go if you like, or if you go, ask them how come I wasn't invited. Hopefully, from now till Thursday, that can change. It's one of the things about running as a green. You get this every year, and it's not democracy. It's not democratic, small d, but that's just one of the things. We can complain about it, Greens can, but it also helps if you guys say, hey, you're supposed to be representing us for the League of Women Voters. You're supposed to be educating and informing voters, and you're not letting candidates talk. So, and non-Democrats can go to this candidate forum. They told me. I asked. They're not checking anybody's registration, but they're not letting the Green candidate up there. So, okay. Next Sunday, we might not do this at 7 o'clock. I have a campaign thing that's I'm going to be doing. So maybe we'll do it earlier in the day. We'll do it a different day. If it doesn't fit into your schedule, that's fine. These are saved and we'll do all, so something will be happening at some point, or maybe even we'll just be taking a week off. There's tons of videos, and there's going to be tons more. It's still beginning of June. There's plenty of weeks, so there's going to be plenty of videos. Don't forget, June 30th is the e-waste recycling event at Greenovation at 1199 East Main Street. I'm telling people now, come early or come late. It's going to be jammed. I thought this would be just a nice little event, and it's going to be, yeah, okay, I'll say it. This word has connotations in Russia. It's going to be huge. People are going to be bringing everything, and you should too. I'm not saying that to dissuade you. If you would like to volunteer to help. Now, I didn't think I was going to need many volunteers. Now we're going to need volunteers. We still got a few weeks before this is happening, so we'll be fine. I'm really excited about it, but it's definitely way bigger than I originally thought back in January when I came up with this idea. So I'm excited, but it's going to be a lot of work. So you can go to the website. There's links there with more information about what you can contribute. And there's also a video that I did from last week. If you have any questions, some folks have already asked it and maybe in the video, but if it's not answered or you just don't feel like watching a video, feel free to just, put a comment in on the Facebook event or whatever, and I will totally answer it. So, all right, I've never done this before, so I'm supposed to be bringing someone on camera. We'll see how this works. Sure, let's see. So, I'll just say this while I see if this actually works out, if Nikki's going to come on board. I appreciate all the support, the door-to-door, the people I've been talking about. You've been awesome. The questions you've been asking me have been great. Yesterday, I came away with homework. People were asking me about things that I didn't know about. I never thought from you guys, as well as the stuff that I'm coming up with. So I really appreciate all of the stuff you've been doing and the conversations you've been having online, in person. Some folks have been donating. That's great. If you have a chance to, change for a 20 at change.org, Nikki. So, Nikki, you're sideways in my screen. Am I sideways on yours?
Yes, you are sideways on mine.
Yeah, well, I'll have to turn it right side up when I do the saving.
Okay. I just
So, is there anything that are you tuning in? So, because you have a question, or is there something you wanted to?
No,
I
just got on Facebook and I seen that you were live, and I'm like, oh my God, let me catch him while he's live, because I don't understand. Oh, you want to say hi to Dave? Sorry, Dave. The kids are.
Hey, hi. One of my fans, one of my biggest fans.
Lillian. So I just don't understand how they can block anybody that isn't, Democrat or Republican from coming. I don't really understand that. And I know I'm late to the cast going on the live Facebook feed. So I just didn't know if you already explained that. If so, I'll just tune in later after it uploads and everything. But
sure. Well, some of it's theory. Yeah, so some of it's in theory. I think the League of Women Voters is a not-for-profit, and if that's the case, just because I've organized candidate forums.
Yes.
And if you invite anyone from one party, you have to invite from the other.
Yeah.
And if you do, and we've done back in the day when I was working for CDR, we did primary ones, candidate forums, but with the knowledge that we would do a general one, and we announced that we were going to do one for the general election as well. So the League of Women Voters is not doing that. They may not be a nonprofit. They may not be a 501c3. They do say on their website they are nonpartisan, and this is definitely partisan.
That's showing.
I don't know if there can be any legal repercussions if they don't do this, but as long as people know when they go and try and fundraise or get people to volunteer for them, I hope folks realize that they don't always act the way that they say they do.
Okay.
And again, it's one of those, it's not easy being green. This has been going on for years, and it's gotten better. Like the one on Tuesday and last Tuesday and the one coming up Tuesday and Wednesday, we've been invited and with open arms. Yeah. That's great. So it has gotten better. Sometimes the media still does a little has a little goofiness with that, but that's gotten better as well. But every once in a while, we still got to fight for this, for our right to get heard. So,
Okay.
and that's why I do stuff like this.
Yeah. Well,
This
maybe,
gets around all that as well.
yeah, maybe I can give a little call or an email, find their email and be like, hey, what's up? I heard, you know, you guys aren't exactly letting everybody in or whatever.
Well, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to go one more day. We've had an email exchange, and right now the email is in their court, and I'm waiting for their response.
Yeah.
And once I get that, if it's still not, oh, okay, Dave, come on, let's go. If it's not that, then I think that's what I'm going to do is I'll start posting their email and phone number, and if folks want to call, they're more or hit them up on Facebook or whatever, and just ask. I mean, that's fine. But like I said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be handing out my lit. I'm not going to cause a big, you know, it's not going to be an ADAPT style action or anything like that. I should not be getting arrested that day. But if someone happens to have bailing around just in case, it's not up to me if I'm getting arrested. I actually am a voter in the district, and so I should be allowed to come in just as a voter. And if I don't cause trouble, they have no reason to get rid of me. But I am going to hand out my lit. And I'll let people know that I wasn't invited to speak.
Well, you know, we're behind our Dave all the way, so.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And this, don't worry, you're gonna wake up one morning and there's just gonna be a big flashy lawn sign sitting right there in front of your house.
You can bring
It'll
it
be
out.
glorious.
I'll put it right up. I'll just have to move it when I'm mowing.
Yep, me too. Mine too.
Okay.
I do the same thing. But it's gonna be later in the summer.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna sign off because
Thanks,
I still have more lawn work to do. As you can see, I'm all dirty and sweaty because I've been doing lawn stuff, so I gotta go back out before the sun goes down.
All right. Take care.
You too. And everybody watching, thanks for tuning in, whether it's live or not, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, davepage.org.